All right, get ready because today we're taking a deep dive into human potential, exploring this article that lays out a vision for a new kind of human.
Not like superheroes or anything.
Right, not mutants, more like a shift in how we think and act in the world.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that this vision acknowledges the crisis of values we're facing globally.
The article really paints a picture of a world struggling with all this advancement, but also with so much turmoil.
Exactly, turmoil.
It doesn't just complain about the problems, though.
Yeah.
It jumps right into a potential solution, a new generation that integrates the best of the old and the new worlds.
And that's where it gets really fascinating. The article paints a picture of this new human, and one of the first things that I noticed is how it emphasizes balance.
Oh, interesting.
Like, look at this quote. It talks about these folks valuing reason and experience as much as conscience and inspiration.
Wow. Okay, break that down. What does that actually look like in a person?
Well, it suggests a kind of integration where logic and intuition aren't opposing forces, but complementary.
So both are important.
Exactly.
Not just cold, hard facts.
Right.
But also gut feelings, that spark of inspiration.
Precisely. Both have their place.
Okay.
And true wisdom comes from being able to draw upon both.
Now, the article also talks about these people being truly independent of any worldly power.
Yeah.
In today's world, with all these influences,
It's everywhere.
it seems almost impossible, doesn't it?
It raises a big question.
Yeah.
What does true independence even mean when we're all so connected?
Right.
Their article seems to be pointing towards inner strength,
Okay.
an ability to really think critically about information and make choices that match your own values.
Not just following the crowd.
Exactly, not blindly following.
But that seems a little contradictory to another point the article makes.
Okay.
That these new humans will be deeply rooted in traditional and spiritual values. How can you be fiercely independent, but also hold on to tradition?
I think it comes back to balance.
That word again.
It's not about blindly clinging to tradition, but about really looking at it, extracting the wisdom.
So taking what's valuable and leaving the rest.
Exact.
Not just rejecting everything from the past.
Right.
Recognizing that both old and new have something to offer.
It's about integration.
Yeah, I see.
True progress comes from integrating them wisely.
The article uses the metaphor of flowers welling up.
I love that.
It's almost poetic.
It is. It suggests this transformation isn't forced.
It's natural, like a plant growing.
Exactly, expressing its potential in its own time.
I love that analogy.
It speaks to the organic nature of it all.
Not some cookie-cutter mold of the perfect human.
No, it's about an environment where individuals can flourish authentically.
So less conformity, more individuality.
Absolutely. Embracing diversity, recognizing that true strength lies in expressing our unique potentials.
That's a powerful message.
Yeah.
But we've only scratched the surface of this new human.
Oh, we've got a lot more to explore.
We haven't even talked about their actions, how they engage with the world.
Well, that's where things get even more intriguing, so stay tuned. Picking up where we left off, let's look closer at how this new human engages with knowledge.
Okay.
The article suggests they have this profound curiosity.
Not just knowing facts, right?
It goes beyond that.
It says they're never content with what they know.
Always pushing further.
Always wanting to understand the why.
And what really stood out to me is how this thirst for knowledge is tied to purpose.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's like their curiosity isn't just for them.
It's fueled by a desire to use what they know.
To make the world better, a positive impact.
It's a very active process then.
Dynamic.
Not just hoarding information.
Right. It leads them to take action, create change.
Speaking of action, the article also goes into their moral compass.
Their ethics.
Based on universal values.
Yeah.
Like justice, love, respect.
Equality.
It seems like those values are really at their core.
It's not just a list of rules.
They live them.
Authentically.
The article describes them as truth-loving and trustworthy. Defending what's good.
Challenging what's evil.
There's not just external forces of evil either.
Right. It's about conquering the evil within, too.
Conquering their self.
Their thoughts and hearts.
Exactly. True transformation starts from within.
It's like an ongoing check-in, making sure their thoughts, words, and actions are aligned.
An internal audit.
I like that.
Ensuring integrity, authenticity.
But how does this internal compass play out in their actions, especially with all these complex social issues?
That's where integrating spirituality and science becomes so important.
It's not one or the other.
They see the value in both.
Both as paths to understanding the universe.
Right. And our place in it.
They're not compartmentalizing.
It's about harmony.
Their intellectual pursuits, their spiritual beliefs, and their actions.
The article actually compares science and religion to two sides of the same coin,
Two manifestations of the same truth.
drawing from both the book of the universe and the divine scripture.
They really embrace multiple perspectives. That open-mindedness gives them an advantage in navigating life's complexities.
Absolutely.
Oh.
And it extends to their relationship with the divine.
They seek guidance and strength from a higher power.
But they also recognize the importance of their own efforts,
It's that balance again.
surrendering to a higher power while taking responsibility.
They understand free will and divine purpose,
A nuanced interplay
between human agency and divine guidance.
leading to constant self-renewal,
Growth, both spiritual and intellectual.
a never-ending journey of discovery.
Seeking new truths about themselves and the universe.
And this journey doesn't end with physical death, does it?
The article hints at a belief in an afterlife.
Continued growth beyond our earthly existence.
They continue to journey until they return to their creator.
It's a profound concept that our lives are part of something much bigger.
Much more expansive.
But while this new human sounds incredible, is it really possible?
Are we capable of all this?
It's a big question.
The article acknowledges the challenges.
It says the emergence of such individuals will not be easy,
It uses the image of all births are painful.
to emphasize the effort and dedication needed.
It's about challenging assumptions.
Confronting limitations.
Continuously striving to be better versions of ourselves.
We can't just sit back and wait.
It's an active choice,
But what does this choice look like in action?
especially when it comes to social action and justice.
That's where the article gets really inspiring, outlining practical approaches to creating a more just and equitable world.
Well, for that, we'll need to continue our deep dive in part 3, so stay tuned as we explore how this new human translates their values into real-world action.
All right, back for the final part of our deep dive into this new human vision.
We've covered a lot of ground, their inner world values, how they see knowledge and spirituality.
Yeah, but let's get practical now.
Real-world stuff.
How does all this translate into action, especially social change?
The article doesn't sugarcoat it, you know.
It doesn't.
It doesn't portray these folks as just dreamers.
Oh, interesting.
They're active agents of change,
Okay.
willing to get their hands dirty,
There's definitely that pragmatism you mentioned before.
mixed with idealism.
The article talks about using media to stay in touch with people, to really connect with their minds and hearts and feelings.
Not just broadcasting, but genuine connection.
That's important.
They get the power of storytelling,
Yeah.
speaking to the head and the heart.
To inspire change.
Not just logic, but emotions, the spiritual side, too.
So, meeting people where they are.
Building bridges.
But the article also talks about establishing a new balance of justice, love, respect, equality.
Ambitious, right.
Very.
What's interesting is it doesn't separate those values.
They're all connected.
Interwoven, reinforcing each other.
It's a complete transformation.
Individual and collective.
And it gets specific, too.
It does.
Making mind subservient to right,
Rejecting discrimination.
based on color or race, tackling those real-world issues.
These individuals are fierce advocates.
For just,
Challenging oppression, working to create a world where everyone can thrive.
there's that line, planting seeds for a happy future,
Yeah.
and then protecting those seeds with the fierceness of a mother hen
It really captures that long-term vision.
and the dedication.
Not just dreaming, but doing, step by step.
And they're not alone.
No.
The article stresses community collaboration
Using their talents.
to create a better world.
Together.
It all ties back to what we talked about before.
It does.
That balance, the integration of spirituality and science, the moral compass.
All of it helps them become effective change makers.
So it's not just about wanting things to be better.
You gotta have the tools.
The knowledge, the skills.
To actually make that difference.
It's empowering.
It is. It suggests that each of us can contribute to a better future.
Even when things seem really tough.
Yeah.
This deep dive has been quite a journey.
It has.
We explored so much about this new human.
Their inner world, their actions.
Any final thoughts for our listener?
The article doesn't say this is a definite future.
Okay.
It's a possibility, a path we can choose.
The question is, do we want to?
Do we have the will to make it happen?
That's something for everyone to think about.
It is.
This deep dive has given us a lot to chew on.
It really has.
A glimpse of what we might be capable of.
Individually and as a whole.
Maybe this new human is already out there.
Just waiting.
Thanks for joining us on this exploration.